I'll call the meeting to order of the Woodbridge Inland Wetlands Commission at 7:35 on April, what is today? 17th. First order of business. New business, 144 Ford Road. If you'll step up, sign in, and tell us what your plan is.
What do I do?
Sign in and tell us what your plan is.
Oh, we'll purchase this this property and just planning to build this single-family house for my parents, and that's about it. And this plan was already approved before. I a little bit modified the house plan, but it's still within the same margins as before. There are no changes, and the reason why applying for the wetland permit, because that one which issued before it's expired. John Paul Garcia was the engineer in the Dune 1 plan, and as I said, I kind of specifically wanted to stay within the previous margins of the approval without changing. It's a little bit different floor plan for the house, but it's within the same allowed spot. That's it. There are no other changes there.
It looks to me that everything is outside the 100-foot review area, unless I've missed something. Is that correct? Anybody seen?
Yeah. I didn't change. What you see the close there, it's just it's a patio. It's not a house.
Well,
No, it looks like it's outside the RO.
It's outside of
Review.
100. Yeah, it's still outside of the review. Yes.
I believe there's
So-
some site grading that goes into it.
I'm sorry?
You did issue a permit before for this.
Right, so,
It's the same thing, but because that one expired, I have to reapply.
I see. That's why I don't remember, it's a long time ago.
Yes, it is.
Right, okay.
It's a beautiful property. I'm sad that the people didn't go through it because I loved it. I love that land.
So my question is, do we still need a permit because one was issued
I don't have
before?
a- Yes,
Yeah,
because
you
that
It
expired.
expired.
It's expired. It's a brain.
we
It's
have
have to
to-
be issued again.
Is there any reason we shouldn't renew it?
You can't-
Reissue a permit? If it still doesn't, if it's still in compliance?
You, that's the whole thing. He's
Right.
before you because he has to have a new
Right.
permit. Because
So-
the other one cannot be renewed because it expired.
So it doesn't seem like there's a lot, does anybody have questions? I mean, I looked at it and I said.
Terry.
I don't see any.
My only question was whether there would be landscaping behind the house,
Not in the
in the
wetland
review
zone.
area, not what?
Not in the wetland zone.
Okay, not in the, in the.
There's no need to do it. It's a beautiful forest.
And I see,
So-
There's a couple of issues.
okay.
There's we have a wetland on the property. 99.8% of the site disturbance appears to be more than 100 feet away from the regulated area. So I guess the question, we have an erosion barrier placed around, and I guess the question for the applicant might be, is there any planned disturbance in the land towards the wetlands in terms of future development? Is it going to be cleared? Is it going to be a grassed area? The erosion, or is the erosion barrier that is shown on this plan the intent to be the limit of disturbance?
The erosion barrier will be limit of disturbance.
So you might want
I'm
to
not planning to do
confirm that
anything
with your,
there.
you're the
That's
engineer.
my intent, but you're asking him something. I always tell people, you have 100 foot up in the review area, then you shouldn't go into it without a permit.
Yeah.
And if you're not gonna do it right now, then don't show it. If you're gonna do it, then show it.
Right.
So it's my understanding from my client that he is not planning on encroaching past the limits of the erosion control barrier.
Because we presume that all of your drainage calculations are based on the disturbed area. I mean, you're making a roof, you're making a driveway, you're making a grassed area. The grassed area has the drainage coefficient of asphalt.
Not necessarily, but,
I mean, it's not like the forest floor presently.
correct.
Right.
But the bottom line is, it's basically, as he said, you know, all we did was we stayed inside the previously approved, and that was done, what, about 10, 12 years ago?
Right.
So I think that, I mean, I think the house and the deck is much larger than what was anticipated, but that's usually what happens.
I don't
Right.
think it's larger. It's a little bit different distribution, but it's not larger, and it's still within allowable building area. It's within the same
Sure,
spot.
no, I understand, but, you know, what we find is we have, housing that starts in a, how shall I say, a modest, expectation of a speculation home. And by the time it gets to an actual owner with some ambition, they get to be
Used to be
larger.
40 by 80 was plenty big for 99% of what we built, and now 40 by 80 is just about the size of the house they want to build.
Most of the like developed area grass, it's because this is between the two roads, so there are two fronts by the code of Woodbridge. So that's why the footage allowances go from the Osborne and Ford Road, and towards the Osborne Road, it's planned. It's the only like place for the leach field and reserve leach field, which means it's a grass over it. I don't know if anybody anymore wants to maintain the 2 acres of grass. So, and again, it's a beautiful forest, which is, if you can see elevations, it's going down to the pond. And to disturb the area, to me, it will be like kind of disturbing the nature. And I'm not sure that many people can like make something better than nature, especially when it's already made beautiful.
None.
That 5-lot subdivision never went through, huh?
Yeah, well, it did. It was an approved subdivision.
No, I
but-
know that, but I'm saying nobody ever built the house.
No, and it's now transferred to the,
Trust.
Land Trust bought everything but this lot.
correct.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's, you know, mighty,
Not bad.
high-quality wetlands in the back.
Yeah.
So,
So this is
you know, it's
beautiful.
distinctive because we have a split rail fence that's kind of coterminous with the actual wetlands review area.
The, what are you gonna do with the soil that's removed for the basement? Is that gonna be taken away, or is it gonna be used for fill sometime?
It's the deck. That we look in the back of the house,
Yes,
the deck.
yes.
There's goes with a like what is about 3 feet retaining wall. It's basically backfilling that deck.
So the deck is gonna not be on posts and raised?
There's a slope deck. That's the fill. And that's the reason why not just disturb the wetlands, because there's no need to. You sit in the deck, you have a beautiful view on the forest and the pond. There's no need to do anything there. It's just counterintuitive and expensive to do something artificial. There's no need to do that.
Charity deals and counterintuitive.
So, you know, this is not a wood deck. This is a
Dirt
stone,
with the flagstone.
right.
Yeah.
Patio, I think.
It's a patio. I'm sorry, patio, not the
It's a
deck.
patio.
Patio,
It's a
yes.
patio.
It stays outside the wetland zone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no.
and the reason to do that's exactly when I designed this, because I designed these things with the obviously help of the John Paul, and it's my hobby. I'm a physician, and it's I like to combine the natural things with their minor touches of the human creation, because I believe this is the best approach, not to wipe everything out. And honestly, there are some properties in Woodbridge which are really upsetting me, because I see developers, I can't, like in the, if I dare, Northwest Road, those property which just right off West Road on the left side, there were like oak trees about 5 feet wide, and they've been all cut down and make it a flat field with no one tree, and they build these plastic houses there. To me, it's bad. Sorry. I'm sorry. It's just not right. It's like,
So what is the round thing on the end of the patio?
oh, it's just a little bit round things, which is like I'm planning to put there the probably gas fireplace to sit around, and I was thinking to put the American, like the flag stake. I don't know. It just sounds like the right thing to do.
There are stairs going down to the yard.
Right, because there is a slope, and I don't want to
Right.
build 8 feet wall retaining walls, so it's a staggered walls, and there's a staircase, so the retaining walls are not huge, it's not a castle. It's just the retaining walls, like, so you can look over them, so they're not high. Also danger for the kids, you don't want anybody to fall there and break legs or something.
What's the planned landscaping behind the deck, the patio? Are you gonna,
What, exactly, what do you mean behind that?
between the patio and the wetlands and the split rail fence? What are you
What's
gonna
there
leave
now
it?
and what will be
Yeah.
there when you're done, I guess he's asking.
Can you point me what area you're doing?
All of this area here. How are you gonna,
I'm not sure, like, as a matter of fact, this is state forest. This
okay.
may be a little bit of grass here, just because of the staircase, but that's about it.
Are there trees and things in here? Are you planning to clear this?
I don't know about planting, but I'm not gonna take like some trees, this is the trees, there's a whole forest here, which is I'm not gonna touch.
Right, but the question is, what's gonna get touched in this area?
No specific plants there.
Because the drainage is gonna come this way.
Correct, so there will be no change of elevations here. The drainage comes, especially from this pipe, which is not much water flow goes to here. And this is the road, the pipe under the road. I talked already to Woodbridge, Road, Department, so we were talking about it, but, the best way to do it.
So,
But it's not gonna be, it's gonna be the same thing, as I said, maybe like a little bit of grass here, like right here in the ground, but that's about it.
so where is this, you've got this coming into, what is
I
this?
have no idea what it is. Jumbo, do you know, this is the same question I asked you.
What's that?
I have no idea what the hell is that.
Oh, that's the
That's a road
the discharge from the house.
I don't know.
It's the discharge,
This is the road, this, for the record, John Paul Garcia. This is the discharge from the footing drains and the roof leaders. And that's just a little riprap around the outside, so it just doesn't create a channel there. And this is the outflow from the pipe.
right, which is gonna, and
Yes.
where does this go?
That
Into
just,
here?
yeah, it goes down that way.
So this pipe
It's a
continues?
grass line swale, it doesn't get a lot of drainage. This is the discharge from the roof leaders and the footing drains, and that's just a little bit of riprap around the outside so it doesn't erode at the end.
Which will then drain into,
It just drains down into the pond. That's correct. That's what it does now anyways.
Yeah, just a question of how long it takes to get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. But that's where it goes now anyways. And that's the way the original design was.
Yeah, I didn't, it was an original plan, by the way. That was not changed from the original plan.
So we have a little cross culvert in the road that comes down, you have,
Yeah.
you're handling some.
There's not a lot of drainage there. The majority of the drainage is actually on Osborne,
That's correct.
which is the crossroad.
You can almost get to the nature preserve from us.
Yeah.
This trail cut through.
any other issues, Terry, that you?
No, I mean, I think that it's a, certainly, we have the luxury of having some distance from the resource. You know, there's some steepness on the slope, so it'll be important during construction activities to maintain the erosion barriers and that sort of thing.
I agree with that completely, because there's no interest to have some soil to be floating up and make like spots in that land. And there's one of the reasons, even when I was looking at it, I was not even considered to do anything there. As Terry said, the slope goes around like this. So that's when that patio on a house design, then there's a slope. To try to do something here, it's just not functional.
It's
Like,
good for sledding.
sleigh is still gonna be in the winter. The kids can sleigh down because the snow is gonna cover it. It's like just have to watch the trees and bushes. That's it.
And we are okay with Quinnipiac, I
Yes.
presume?
Yeah.
Do we have an audit sheet for notes as to,
I
who
don't
made the
think-
motion?
I don't
or
think
you
we
just
do.
gonna- Okay, so you'll take care of it. All right, so, do we have
I move to approve.
You can't
First-
act on it this evening.
First of all-
No, 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 no.
first of all, we'll seat Jean.
We just
Or,
got it, so we have to leave it.
Oh,
Okay.
that's correct. All right, so,
But I
This will
assume
come up
we'll
next
have no
month.
problem approving it next month.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not planning to do anything until like probably beginning of summer, so it's not. I'm not like it has to be done.
all right, so.
I'm not the contractor, which means I don't have timelines.
I have one question, please.
Yeah.
You said
Actually, I
there,
am contractor, but not. not for
the,
here.
the grill, the gas grill, is that gonna be with a small tank, or are you having gas?
I am not even sure-
For cooking or in the house?
No,
or-
no, no. The good question, and honestly, I don't even know yet, because the only reason I mentioned the gas grill, because it can be connected to the gas line of the house, and it just easy to switch on and off. I mean, I may consider just to make a simple like pit.
It's a wonderful thing to have. Your wife will appreciate
Right.
the gas range, but I'm saying if there's you're gonna put 100-gallon, a 1,000-gallon propane tank, that's another consideration as to where you might.
No, the
put it.
tank is like there. I do want to have a gas in the house because I actually enjoy the cooking on the gas stove rather than electrical, even if I have electrical myself, which is okay. And it's gonna be just the one of the lines because it's relatively close to the house, and all the lines goes in the basement anyway. It just the line goes connected to the same, like the line goes to the cast to the kitchen, and it's the like just the line goes there. That's it.
Would you be considering an above-ground tank or below-ground tank?
Honestly, whatever you will advise me.
Well,
I'm absolutely open for the best option.
some people, there's visual concerns, there's all kinds of
I
things.
think the above ground, and I'll tell you why. Safer, easy to maintain, easy to service.
Okay.
Okay, and it's easy to hide it enough, and if to put it in a place, it's simpler to put some evergreen bushes like hollies.
Our
that's it.
recommendations, is that if it's going to be underground, we recommend that you save yourself a trip to the health district, because you're going back to the health district, I presume, for the construction drawing
Mhm.
permit, the actual septic installation permit. And if you were to consider an underground one, we encourage you just to have your engineer cite it on the thing and just save them a trip.
He said,
Okay.
he's not sure yet, so.
I mean, to be honest, sounds like I already hear the undertext. Then it's just put above ground and don't deal with the problems.
What's the setback to
And that's the simplest solution.
setback to an underground tank?
I don't
No,
know,
for property line.
no, there's no problem, there's no setback.
A gas tank can be against the property line?
Yeah, I mean, they don't get to be there, but it's an underground structure, and so
No, I'm
it's
talking
nothing,
about above ground.
or above ground. Well, it's an accessory thing, so it's a 15
Okay.
feet.
More than
From the
enough.
side
That's-
yard or rear, but it's.
Actually,
can't
as a
be in the
matter of
front
fact,
yard, so you
That's
don't-
correct, but that's why, this was a question that was brought up when we designed it.
What I was
He
thinking about
giving
it,
you the same answer.
this is
you
the
did.
It's gonna
garage.
have to go-
I was actually going to put it right here.
As long as it's not above,
This
past
is
this line.
about 35 feet to the border. It's right here, and it's not gonna be have any visual effect whatsoever.
Great.
And again, I prefer simple things.
Mm-hmm.
On the complicated things, they usually don't work well. Even iPhones making mistakes.
The above-ground ones you rent, the below-ground ones you buy. In terms of tanks.
What?
You can't, the tanks that get buried, you have to purchase.
No, I don't want to bury. Sounds
and
like
tanks that you-
complicated.
I don't know where you can rent the buried.
You can't,
Oh, didn't know that.
because, you know, if you don't pay your bill, they can't come and get it.
That's true too.
I have, Terry, as you know, on the property which I bought and where I live, there was a oil tank buried before, and the previous owners had to spend a lot of money to dig it up, get the soil tested and everything else. It's just not worth it. For what, visual effect? I mean, I'll ask my daughter, she's 15 and she's in art, I'll ask her to paint over it, if it's allowed, make a little art project out of it.
So this can be hooked up to the gas lines accessible here?
Natural gas, no.
There are
No, so what are you gonna,
there are no public utilities in this area at all.
right, so you're gonna have another oil tank.
Gas tank.
Gas,
Propane.
propane,
Heat?
Yeah,
propane.
1,000-gallon propane for the house.
Absolutely. It's much better option right now. There are portable gas tanks, which is about the size of suitcase. You put it in the basement. There's no huge things. You do need the 4-inch pipe insert double wall with the the code. Terry knows all about it, and just exhaust. And it's a tiny thing. It's an inline heater for the house, and it's with the installation of the radiators and radiant floors. It's the best option.
As long as people in Pennsylvania will continue to tolerate their drinking water catching on fire when it comes out of the faucet, there's a natural gas has a cost advantage over fuel oil presently.
Terry, you called. I work in Pennsylvania, okay? Don't pick on Pennsylvania people.
Be careful turning on the faucet.
Okay.
It's pretty interesting.
All right,
But
so
they
this-
upset that coal is not used anymore, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Pretty interesting.
All right, so this will be on the agenda for next month.
Under old business, yes.
Very good.
All right, very good.
Gentlemen, ladies, thank you very much.
See you later. Yeah,
Pleasure.
Good to see you.
I see you.
Thank you.
I guess we should add the item about the shoring up the bank to the agenda and discuss
Didn't
that
I
as
put
we.
it under correspondence?
Yeah. Inside the woods.
Oh, okay. So we'll go to old business in that case, which is 106 Seymour Road.
So, okay.
Bob had asked for additional information about
Correct.
the location of a seat that came out of the ground adjacent to wetlands flag number 33, so I went over and took a picture of it. It appears to be a spring. I'll enter this into the record. This is wetlands flag number 33. If you have a copy of the plan for 106 Seymour Road, I'll orange you. Bob had specifically asked about some additional information about what was causing this, this seep right here. Talking about right here. Wetland flag 33. And what it is there's a spring there. There's actually a block. There probably was even a spring pit there. You can see some boards in the block. This is a picture of the spring. This is wetlands flag number 33. So this is oriented this way, and the water's flowing downhill.
And the boards were, I'm sorry.
There was probably a spring hole here.
Okay.
This site had been fairly
Oh,
heavily.
I see them. I see what
See,
you mean.
there's cinder, that's a cinder block with
Okay.
moss on it, and these are some boards. This site had been fairly heavily developed, if you've been here. These wetlands, flags are defining a very, very well-made pond made out of about 3 feet high rubble wall. Same thing with this. I mean, somebody spent a considerable amount of time constructing these walls. There's a well right here. I have enough pictures of it. this is looking at this wetland this way. There's actually two trees here. They form like an arch. So you're looking into, and you can see the wall that surrounds this wetland. Then there's a trough that comes down this way, leads into there's a catch basin right here. And then this wetland is the same thing. The walls are about 2 or 3 feet high. They're silted in. This shows this up, this is the upper pond. Yeah, actually, this actually shows the upper pond, the telephone pole, and the,
Oh, somebody was watering their cows here, huh?
well, no, this woman, the lady here was very nice. They used to keep a horse here. And there were some animals here, and somebody had stocked, they had spent a lot of time and effort to line these ponds. They're beautiful. I'll tell you, if I own the property, the first thing I do is probably dig them out. They're gorgeous ponds. And there's a ditch here, a stone line ditch. So this was part of it. So I would imagine that probably 40 or 50 years ago, that spring hole had been boxed in and opened up and developed. I didn't want to disturb it, so I didn't dig anything around it. But that's what Bob had asked for, some additional information. If you remember, the reason we're here is this is an extremely difficult lot, and we want to go in there to do some soils testing. And the only place we can soils test is up in this corner. This is outside the 100-foot review area, but the house will be within inside the 100-foot upland review area to this wetland and to the spring hole.
Into the spring.
But the elevation change was significant between.
Yes, the elevation change is quite significant between here and there.
Yeah, you can tell by driving by.
Yeah.
Um,
It is quite significant.
But the house would be on the same,
The house there's only one location for the house.
but it
that's-
would be on the same elevation as the spring.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so is there a trough that the spring water?
There's a semi, that's why I said, it may have been there at one time.
Okay.
You can still see the remains of some kind of a depression that may be either spring or someone had actually dug out a chute. But, you know, it hasn't been maintained for 50 or 60 years. There's a series of drainage structures up on the other side of the road that haven't been maintained in who knows how long, none of them are functioning. So, and there's an extensive ditch over here leading to the farm, that comes down to Seymour Road that was dug probably 50 or, how long's that farm been there?
I went to school with the family.
Well, then, so they probably dug that ditch probably in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah.
The red house, you mean?
What's that?
The red,
At the very end of the driveway, there's a farm, and I've never been past that house.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's in back. There's a sign that says by appointment only. I don't know what's back there. But, the area obviously, 50 years ago was a working farm. And the Taffels who own the property now just wanna do something with it. And I told them that before I started digging test holes up there, I'd like to come at least talk to the Wetlands Commission to make sure I'm not gonna get myself in trouble. Or any more trouble than I normally will.
Well, it would seem like the
That's
next
closer to the
thing
truth.
that we need to do is do a site visit.
that was one thing we were waiting for the
Right.
ground to be not covered with snow or semi-frozen or.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it possible on the site visit to have an engineering person with us?
You can't discuss it in the field. You can have somebody present so that they can point out, this is where the spring is, this is where the ditch is, but you just
Right,
can't discuss the
you're going to
merits of it
observe.
in the field.
But I think it would be good to have somebody, I don't know who Bob's replacement is, but
Oh, you mean from your crew? I think it would be better if they looked at it independently and then you could ask questions. You can't discuss it in the field.
Yeah, not on the trip, not on the inspection.
well, we certainly need the site inspection.
Yeah.
And it would be good to have, I think, the question is what would be the right timing for the engineer to take a look at that? So that maybe coincident between now and the next meeting,
We
could have.
can, as long as there's permission given for him to access it, he could go
I
out.
would say, I would recommend if you're gonna do it, we're getting another rainstorm on Saturday, so I would say the next 2 weeks, it's gonna be, that's why I waited as long as I do, because I wanna make sure with the rain events, you can see the water, you can see what's going on,
Yeah.
because it may look totally different in August.
Mhm.
So you're gonna have a
Sure,
good
they'll
rain event
probably-
this Saturday, so maybe next week or the week after, I wouldn't recommend waiting till it gets dry. I mean, if that's the intent.
I mean, if that's what you would like to do, we can just contact Jim, and as long as there's permission from the owners.
I'll talk to you, I'll get you that, but
Yeah.
that's not a problem.
So,
And I'll email him a plan if you want me to. Or you'll get it, I can email it to you and you can
Yeah,
email
just
it.
email it to me and I'll email
I'll
it
send
to
you a
him.
PDF.
Yeah, that's fine.
so,
But I understand, the intent is, I'm not looking for approval of a site plan.
well, we don't
This
yeah.
may fall apart, when we go do soils testing, this may all fall apart.
understand.
But it's a tough enough lot that I don't wanna waste this woman's money
Money,
on,
of course.
unless I actually have a chance of getting something. Or getting her something.
So it seems reasonable, site,
Yeah,
we
I
do
have
the
no
site
issues.
visit, and we have
I have
an
no issues.
independent look by the engineer,
Yeah,
and we can discuss it at the following
and then
meeting,
if
so
you wanna have him come to the next meeting, you can
Yeah.
have him do that.
that would be good,
Okay.
that would be good. Since this
That
is a
was the
conflict,
record.
okay, I'll put that in here.
Yeah, that's the spring.
So can we schedule, what would be good for the site visit? A week from Saturday, or 2 weeks from Saturday, or not Saturday, or some,
I'm always gonna try to be to anything you do, but I don't know until I go home.
it's,
I don't
we
have
could
a
also do it
smartphone.
early before the next meeting, if that's easier
Oh,
for
sure.
all. and
On
that
the
would-
Wednesday before, because it's light enough, you
Yeah.
can go.
Yeah.
So why don't we do
And
that?
it's easy, the only problem with the site is parking.
Is parking.
Yeah, and this
Can we,
woman.
can we pull into the road at least?
No,
There's no
you
parking.
can pull in here, yeah,
Yeah.
and there's enough pull off, and this woman is not adverse to parking in front of her driveway if you wanna walk across. She's a very nice lady, very nice lady.
So I mean, if you were gonna meet here, you could always just, to uncomplicate things,
Right.
leave a couple cars here and just carpool over and 1 or 2 cars.
I'll meet you all
There's
there
also
since,
the parking
since that's
for
just right
the
around the corner
trail
from where I
across the
live.
street.
Well, it's also,
Yeah, you don't wanna
close
cross
to
this
where I
if
live
you
too.
can avoid it.
If it's
But I,
Getting old
we can
and
come
slow.
down and carpool up there.
And you're a big target too.
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
Probably all go in my car.
Okay,
Tall
so do you wanna
and
meet here
tall.
like at
Oh,
We can
6:30?
meet here first, and,
Good
yeah,
call, good call.
let's do it at, see, 15 to get, 10 to
Yeah,
get
if
there,
we're gonna have
10
the
back.
meeting anyhow, so
6:15,
we might as well meet here and then do a
6:30?
carpool.
6:30, yeah, cause that gives you enough time to get there, get back here.
Yeah, there's still not enough green on there so you can get through okay.
All right, so let's plan on 6:30 prior to the next
Prior
meeting.
to the next meeting, okay.
I'll confirm with Sarah,
Yeah.
about access, I don't think that'll be a problem, and I'll send you a PDF tomorrow morning.
Okay, and I'll let you know when Jim would be
Sure.
going out, just so she'll know.
Yeah, I'd like to know when he's going out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell me again, so these walls on these ponds
These
are,
ponds were created by walling in a wetland. And then there's a well right here that feeds this pond, which shoots down and feeds this pond, and it overflows onto this, into the town
so
road drainage.
these are well-established?
Oh, yeah, they're beautiful, and like you said, if I own the property, the first thing I do is dig them things out. They are gorgeous walls. And I'd open up that wetland, I'd open up
And you can
that,
stock them with trout.
I don't know about trout, but if nothing else, they're beautiful, beautiful. This would function probably as a nice wetland, is a nice wetland habitat. I mean, there's some sedges in there now, there's some stuff in there now, but it's a gorgeous pond. And the walls, somebody put a lot of effort into those walls. Because they're still up, that's why I'm saying, these weren't just, rubble walls, these things are still up. And they're going through a constant freeze-thaw ice cycle.
Yeah.
So whoever built them knew how to build walls around ponds, which is an art form.
Well, it certainly would be an attractor to the property, presuming the house can get built there. All right,
Yeah, that's why I said, if I owned it, I'll tell you, that's the first thing I'd be digging out.
so we
Okay.
don't,
I'll
that's,
send you-
So all of this is in the context of not having an application in front of you.
Right,
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
okay, as long as we understand
Yeah.
that there's nothing to vote upon, there's no activity proposed.
Well, the activity proposed is to do the soils testing, and then I have to make an application. And then the application has to stand on its merits.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And there's no guarantee, once we do soils testing, that the soils in the area I wanna test will be sufficient. I mean, that's still a crapshoot. There is a ledge profile there, there is some, outcroppings, this is not an uncompromised lot. This has a lot to work with, and that's why I'm here. I don't wanna go mucking around prior to, running this by you guys, at least, if everybody falls to the floor holding their throats, I'll know that I don't have much of a chance.
I think us looking at it first is a good way to begin.
I think so, and that's why I did it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that would be May 15th,
That's the third Wednesday, yeah.
yes. Third Wednesday, 6:30.
So, thank you very much, have a pleasant Easter, happy Passover, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. I'll talk to you tomorrow, Chris, or
No, you won't.
I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds like
Liz is in the house. Liz is in the house, she moved.
All right, so we have this request from Sonia Caban and Francis Donnelly to have an IWA inspect a portion of the bank of the pond on their property where they would like to shore up the bank of the pond.
If you recall, this is a house that is feet from a pond.
I'm sorry, it's,
Feet, literally
okay.
several feet from the house, the actual house, to a pond with a wall around it. Apparently, the wall is in some trouble. We've issued several permits, as I recall, a permit, at least one, to the previous owners of this house, who had some plans on doing a kitchen, and then they did their kitchen. They didn't fully build out what they were permitted to do. They've now since sold that house to the Cabans, and they wish to make some improvements. And they've asked for an agency visit, I guess, right?
Why? I'm missing it. Why?
Well, I think they're interested in having your opinion on what to do. When Christine and I speak with them, it's a regulated activity. What they want to do would take a permit to do so, and apparently they are interested in the conversation before the permit.
even to the extent of restoration of the wall would be part of the permit.
I think so.
So,
I mean, they haven't, this is pre-activity, permission. It's good to have them, to have a sense of, I mean, you would be hard pressed to approve this. If you were doing this today, you wouldn't approve it. I mean, it's too close. It's literally feet. There's a bit of water that comes through there. Most of it, I believe, is road drainage.
No,
Well, from Lyons Road and from,
this is where the stream comes down out of the country club of Woodbridge, goes north and circulates through that pond and then goes back out and underneath from it. So it's a combination of, there is a little bit of road drainage that comes in from Lyons Road around the back, but there's a stream that comes in from the side and then goes around to another pond on the property that's in front of it on Rimmon Road.
and they both have siltation problems, by the way. We've spoken to each individual property owner about siltation issues. But as I understand their question today, by email, is that they are concerned about the actual bank.
Yeah.
well, it sounds like it would be, for us to get there, it would take them having to file
So I'll just tell them
A
that they
request.
need to formalize an application.
an application, right?
And engage someone to tell them what they propose to do to repair what it is that they want to repair.
So it would seem like it would be appropriate for you to send them that letter or email,
I can just email them, yeah. Okay.
and that would get the process started. And if they can get that in, we can get it on next month's agenda and schedule the site visit.
If they want.
Is there any imminent danger of something collapsing?
I think it's
or-
eroding, I don't think it's a dangerous condition
Okay,
that I'm aware of.
so we have some time.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
right,
okay.
it's no threat to the house, I think it's more aesthetics than anything, so.
Okay. All right. The next item was the notice from the Tennessee Gas Pipeline as to what they're gonna do. And not sure it said where they were gonna do it, but,
The entire length of the pipeline. And,
Wow.
and I guess, you know, for our television audience, those that live along the pipeline are going to see their pipeline easement exposed, and they're doing, maintenance on that pipeline, and it's a really good thing that they're doing that.
it absolutely is. I walk over it every day.
Right.
On-
It's good, good not to have it leak.
Which it did once.
I'm sure.
And I called them, and they were there fast. So that's good. Okay. Next item is,
You know, if you have a close read to their letter, I think their letter is a thoughtful thing. I don't think that we have any jurisdiction in particular.
no, but it sounded like they were gonna do it.
I mean, the best,
Properly.
they're proposing to use best management practices, which is, you know, what we would have them do anyway. It comes in the context of the electric company doing a lot of clearing and maintenance clearing on overhead wires. It has been, you know, quite at the talk of the town in the areas that are affected. And some people are more dramatically affected by this than others. And this will be exposing this pipeline.
So they can actually dig down to the pipe?
It's my understanding. They're renewing the corrosion protection,
You do that from the outside, not the inside.
correct? The
And there's
gas is on
no-
the inside.
Chain link fence things that have a big number on top of them, that's the pipeline. And little terminals or whatever they are, inspection, but they're going point to point. Wow, it's gonna be a lot of dirt moved.
I believe it will be.
How deep is that line buried?
I don't know.
It's more than 4 feet.
My estimate would be at least 5 feet, by the way, but I think it depends on,
Yeah.
and,
So where it passes under a paved road, they'll be digging that up too? Maybe, maybe
you know,
not.
what their letter says is that they intend to expose the exterior of the pipeline.
You can do it a lot of ways.
The letter references the right-of-way in the city of Derby.
Well, you know, I think that I'm sure they meant to say
Okay,
Woodbridge,
you think
by
it was
the
a
way.
form letter that they didn't quite catch?
It goes to
Okay.
Derby too.
I wanna see the machine they use to dig that trench.
Very gently.
You know, you grab the pipe here and then you dig ahead, making sure you don't go too deep.
And you wanna make sure you don't find the pipe when you don't wanna find the pipe, right?
Right. Okay.
But, you know, there's gonna be a lot of disturbed earth, and so,
Yeah.
and so I think that it's very good to talk about it, in this context, because it's a way for our community to start, understanding that what's coming, to their property soon, if you happen to have this pipeline on your property. I'm sure that they're reaching out, and I would hope that they're reaching out to each individual property owner.
Do we have a map of where the pipe actually runs that conveniently displays for
you go online to the town website, there's layers that you can pull in,
Yeah,
pull in public utilities and you'll find it.
and it'll be there. Oh, I'm gonna do that. Thank you.
It's a good resource.
Well, I know, but you sort of have to know that you should look there to know to look there. That's all.
Absolutely, absolutely,
That's great.
yeah.
And that website is,
Just go to the woodbridgect.org.
oh, it's the
And then
town,
you go
the
into the
Town
assessors.
of Woodbridge.
Yep.
town
And then you
website.
go into assessors department, and then you go into tax maps, and then you can
Well, I know where it crosses, Birch
pull up.
Drive, so.
I mean, it's hard when you're looking at the whole town, it's better to, start focusing where you know it is, and then you can move the map along.
Yeah.
But it's under the assessors tab, you go to woodbridgect.org. You then go to the assessors office, and
When departments, then assessor, and then at the bottom of the left-hand column, it says tax maps. You pull up an address where you know the gas line is, and then you can move it back and forth and follow it around.
I know there's one right on Peck Hill Road as I come down. A big fenced-in area with a.
Crosses Amity Road. Crosses Amity Road, goes up over.
Oh, so it's running mostly east-west, kind of. No. Amity Road. I know where Amity Road is.
yeah,
But there's a on Peck Hill, so that's east of where I am, yeah. I have a sense of where it has to be then.
There's multiple gas lines that crisscross around.
Oh. And they're gonna do them all, or just they're all the same company, you think?
I think they're the same company. It's
Ooh, I'm
Tennessee.
gonna have a fun time exploring. Thank you.
Okay, moving ahead, any updates from the enforcement officer? So, 220 Seymour Road?
We're having, I've had now 2 conversations with, how should I say this, responsible individuals. Not the permit holder. And so we can look forward to some activity this spring. I'm hopeful.
Good. We have the site inspection date set, which will be prior to the next meeting. And the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Any comments on the minutes? I did not see, they look fine to me.
Tried to find something to pick at, but I didn't succeed.
Oh, I'll put something in the next one for you so you can find it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If not, can we have a
It'll be a
motion?
test.
I have to tell you about that.
A motion to accept the minutes, approve the minutes,
I will move that we accept the minutes of the March meeting.
and a second.
I'll second.
Very good, Jean second. And a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4 not, so the minutes are approved. Anything else to be discussed? If not, a motion to
I shall move, we adjourn.
adjourn. Second,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
4 not, and we are adjourned. Yeah.